My dad left a note on my 11-year-old's bedroom door. It read, "We gave your dog away. Your cousin didn't want it here. Don't overreact." She handed it to me in tears. I just took care of it. The very next morning there was a knock on their door, and within seconds they were screaming. I didn't even notice how quiet the house had gotten. I was in the kitchen most of the day making lunch for everyone like I usually did. It had turned into a routine, me doing most of the cooking, cleaning errands because I owed them. That's what my mom said when I first moved in. I just lost my job, couldn't keep up with rent, and they offered us the basement. So I said yes, told myself it was temporary. Told Ellie we'd get back on our feet soon. It was around lunchtime when she found the note. I was washing dishes, up to my elbows in soap, when I heard her come in behind me. I didn't turn around right away. I just asked if she was hungry. She didn't answer. When I finally turned, she was holding a piece of paper, her eyes puffy, like she'd already cried herself dry. She didn't speak. Just handed it to me and walked back down the hallway without a word. I dried my hands and read the note. "We gave your dog away. Your cousin didn't want it here. Don't overreact." It was written in my dad's blocky handwriting on the back of a grocery list. That was it. No apology. No explanation. Just a note taped to my daughter's door, telling her that the one thing she loved most in this world, Pepper her dog, was gone. She must have found it earlier. Maybe while I was busy peeling potatoes or trying not to burn the rice. I didn't even hear her cry. She probably found the empty dog bed, the leash missing from its hook, and read the note all by herself. And I was too busy making lunch for people who didn't care about her at all. By the time I got to her room, she was already asleep, curled up in bed with the blanket over her head, like she couldn't handle being awake in a house that had betrayed her. That dog had been with her since she was 6. Ellie dressed her in costumes, read her bedtime stories, taught her silly tricks. She didn't just love that dog, she needed her. I wanted to believe maybe it was a mistake. That maybe the dog had gotten out or someone took her for a walk. But the empty food bowl and that note made everything clear. I went to my mom and asked where Pepper was. She was sitting in the living room with my sister Tessa and her kids. My mom barely glanced at me. Just said the dog was gone. That the cousins didn't want her here. That it wasn't fair to have a noisy animal in a full house. Tessa chimed in that Caleb was scared of her. Said it like that made it final. I asked who took her. No one answered at first. Then my mom muttered something about a friend of a friend. Said they were glad to have her. That I shouldn't bother trying to get her back. Tessa just rolled her eyes. Her kids sat there like they'd won something. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I went back to Ellie's room, sat on the floor and stayed there until she woke up. After she fell asleep again, I waited until everyone else had turned in for the night. Then I took Tessa's phone from the charger in the kitchen. I didn't even feel guilty. Scrolled through her call log. Found a number with no name next to it. One she called twice yesterday. I copied it down, went to my car and called. A woman answered. She sounded half awake, said they'd picked up the dog late the day before. She said Pepper was cute but loud, kind of wild, not what they were expecting. I explained everything. That the dog belonged to my daughter. That they gave her away without even telling me. That this was a mistake. She paused. Said she'd think about it. Then she hung up. The next morning, just before 7, someone knocked on our front door. And within seconds there was screaming. The knock came just after sunrise. I was still in my pajamas, hair a mess, heart somewhere in my stomach. I wasn't expecting anyone. No one ever came to that house without calling first. So when I opened the door and saw the couple from the night before, standing there with Pepper, leash in hand, I didn't even know what to say. The man looked tired. The woman looked pissed. She asked if I was Abby. I said yes, and before I could say anything else she launched into it. She said they were returning the dog. Said they'd had enough. That no one told them the dog belonged to a little girl. That they were told it was an unwanted pet. Her words. Unwanted. She asked what kind of people do that. I didn't even have time to answer. My dad came stomping in from the hallway. He demanded to know what was going on, like he hadn't written that damn note himself. The woman turned toward him and said loud and clear, "You gave away a child's dog without permission. Are you proud of that?" That brought everyone out. My mom. Tessa. Her kids. Even Ellie, who must have heard the voices and dragged herself upstairs. She looked like she hadn't slept much either. The couple didn't stay long. They handed me the leash. The man muttered something about how the dog was cute but insane. Said she'd barked for hours, tore through a pair of sneakers and tried to climb onto their kitchen counter. Then the woman looked at Ellie, saw her eyes light up when she saw Pepper and just shook her head. Said this never should have happened and walked off with her husband. Ellie dropped to her knees right there in the living room. Wrapped her arms around Pepper like she'd come back from the dead. She didn't say anything. Just held on like she never wanted to let go again. That should have been the end of it. But of course it wasn't. My dad slammed the door and said we'd embarrassed him, that I'd caused a scene, that it was disrespectful to bring strangers to the house. Then my mom started in. Said the dog didn't belong here anyway, that I never asked for permission, that the house was too full, too noisy, that I was taking advantage of their generosity, that feeding me and Ellie was already a stretch. Then Tessa, of course, said her kids felt neglected, that Ellie made them feel less than, that it was hard for them to see me doing things like reading with her, helping with school projects, watching movies together. She said maybe I didn't mean to rub it in, but it hurt. And the dog was just another reminder that they didn't get that kind of attention at home. She said it like I should apologize for being a mother. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't even argue. I just stood there for a while. Then I took Ellie's hand, grabbed Pepper's leash, and walked her downstairs without another word. I waited until everyone else had gone to bed that night. Then I opened my laptop, logged into every rental listing site I could find, and started searching. I didn't know where or how, but I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't staying in that house another month. Not even another week. They thought they'd done something irreversible. That they'd broken us. But they had no idea. I didn't sleep after the dog came back. I just lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling while Pepper snored softly next to Ellie. I knew we couldn't stay another day in that house. It was never about rent or family or helping each other. It was about control. They didn't want us there. Not really. They just wanted someone to use as a target, someone to dump their bitterness on. Around 3 a.m. I started searching for apartments again. I wasn't expecting much. Most places in town wanted over $1,000 a month for something that didn't even have a working stove. But then I saw it. A listing posted just hours earlier. 2 bedrooms, nothing fancy, no photos, just a short description and a phone number. $800 a month. Available immediately. No pets? Let's talk. That was all it said. I called, half expecting no answer. But a tired man picked up and told me he was doing showings all day and if I could come by at 9 a.m., it was mine if I wanted it. I was there at 8:45. It was tiny. Yellowed walls, a leaky faucet, the carpet had some questionable stains, and the view from the window was of a dumpster. But no one was telling me what I could and couldn't do. No one was sighing when my daughter laughed too loudly. No one was deciding what I was allowed to care about. I signed the lease on the spot. I went back, packed what I could in the car. Clothes, toiletries, Ellie's art supplies, a few dishes, Pepper's bed. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I didn't owe them that. Ellie was confused when I told her we were taking a little drive. She kept looking at me like she was waiting for someone to stop us, for someone to say we weren't allowed to leave. But when I pulled into the lot and handed her a key, she blinked and asked me if I was serious. This is ours. Yeah. All ours. She ran inside with Pepper like she'd just been set free. I'll never forget the sound of her bare feet on that awful carpet or how she opened every cabinet like she'd never seen freedom before. We didn't even have furniture yet, just a couple of air mattresses and an old folding table I found at a yard sale. But that night she fell asleep with a smile on her face. Pepper curled up next to her. No tears. No locked doors. No taped up notes. 2 days later I decided to throw a small housewarming get-together. Nothing major. Just a few people. My cousin Jamie, my friend Olivia from work, and Aunt Rita, who'd always been more supportive than most. I didn't invite my parents. I didn't invite Tessa or her husband or their kids. I wanted one night that felt clean. Ours. Ellie helped make decorations out of construction paper. We made boxed brownies and deviled eggs and those weird little meatballs and grape jelly sauce that everyone secretly loves. Pepper tried to eat half of it before the guests arrived. It was simple, but it felt like a celebration. Until around 6:30 when someone knocked on the door. I opened it. My stomach dropped. My parents. Tessa. Her husband. Their kids. All standing there like they were supposed to be there, like nothing had ever happened. I didn't even move at first. Just stood there in the doorway trying to figure out who told them. Then I saw Aunt Rita behind them trying to avoid my eyes. So that was it. They all came inside like they owned the place. My mom barely said hello before she started commenting on everything. The furniture we didn't have yet, the smell of the dog, the plastic cups I was using. Said it was cute that I'd tried, but maybe next time I should ask for help with hosting. Said the brownies were dry. Said Ellie needed a haircut. Said Pepper shouldn't be allowed near the food. Tessa walked through the apartment like she was assessing damage. Her husband stayed quiet, but her kids whined the entire time. I pulled Aunt Rita aside and asked if she told them. She just mumbled something about how they were going to find out anyway. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I smiled through the rest of the night. I cleaned dishes while my mom listed all the things I'd done wrong. I refilled cups while she criticized my cooking. I watched Ellie slowly fade into the background like she always did when they were around. And somewhere between my mom's 5th comment about how I wasn't cut out to live alone, and Tessa suggesting I move back in because it's hard out here. I felt something shift. This wasn't just a bad night. This was a warning shot. I don't know exactly when I made the decision. Maybe it had been building for years and that night was just the last flick of the match. Everyone had eaten, the drinks were nearly gone and the room was thinning out. The relatives I had invited were saying their goodbyes, making excuses, giving me those apologetic glances like they could already feel something simmering under the surface. Meanwhile, my mom was still planted on the couch, legs crossed, sipping from a paper cup like she owned the place. She was talking loudly about the stains on the carpet and how dangerous it was to keep a dog in a place this small. I ignored it. I'd been ignoring her the whole night. But then she said something about how Ellie needed rules again. Said she could tell that my daughter had gotten softer since we moved out. Softer. Like joy was a problem. I didn't respond. I went into the kitchen to clean up. I figured if I just made it another 10 minutes they'd leave on their own. But I should have known better. I was washing dishes when I heard the clatter. My dad had picked up the cheap little lamp on the side table, turned it over in his hands and said something like, "This isn't real ceramic, right? Looks like a toy." It was a lamp I found for $6 at a thrift store. I liked it. Ellie helped me pick it out. Then he said, I still think it's not too late to come back home. You've proven your point. I stood there for a second, hands wet, heart racing. Then I dried them, walked back into the living room, and told them to get out. It didn't come out like a big dramatic scene. I just said it clearly. I asked them to leave. That the visit was over. My mom acted confused, like she hadn't spent the last hour picking apart everything from my cooking to my throw pillows. She asked, "What's your problem?" "We're family." I said it again firmer. "Get out." Tessa stood up and said I was being ridiculous. Her kids looked bored. Her husband looked like he couldn't care less either way. My mom scoffed and said she didn't raise me to be this selfish. That I was being dramatic. That I'd regret it. I didn't answer her. I just opened the front door and stood there until they filed out. Even then she had to get in one more jab. She turned around and said, "Let's see how long you last without us." I shut the door before she could finish. For a while I just stood there in the silence. The kind of silence that doesn't happen in a full house. The kind that tells you everything's finally yours. Ellie peeked out from the hallway holding Pepper. Her eyes were wide, not scared, just waiting to see what came next. I walked over and told her it was just us now. That no one was going to take anything from us again. She nodded. Didn't say anything. Just smiled and hugged Pepper like the night had gone exactly how it should have. After she went to bed, I sat on the floor with my laptop and went through my accounts. I'd still been paying a few of my parents' bills, quietly, automatically every month. Their phone plan, the internet bill, even a car insurance payment my mom had forgotten, was still on my card. That stopped right then. I canceled every single payment. Then I opened a blank spreadsheet and started planning. Groceries, rent, gas, the rest of the month. It was all tight. But doable. Barely. I got up to grab some water and that's when the wave hit. That deep, low cramping I hadn't felt in a long time. My body knew before I did. And for a moment I just stood there holding the edge of the counter, willing it to pass. But it didn't. I walked into the bathroom, pulled out the last test I had from months ago and sat on the edge of the tub. 3 minutes. 2 pink lines. Clear as day. I was pregnant. I stared at it for a long time. Not scared. Not even shocked, really. Just quiet. The father, he was long gone. It had ended before it even had a name. No one knew. I never planned on telling anyone. And I wouldn't now. This was mine. My daughter was asleep in the next room. The dog we almost lost was curled up on her feet. And I had a baby the size of a grain of rice starting to grow inside me. They thought I couldn't make it on my own. But they have no idea who they just let walk out that door. The morning after the party, the place felt like it belonged to us. Really, yes. The silence wasn't heavy like it used to be at my parents' house. It was warm. Ellie was on the floor drawing with Pepper curled up beside her, and I was sitting at the little table with a mug of instant coffee, watching the light creep across the walls. There was a quiet peace in knowing they were gone. Like the air in the room had finally settled. Until my phone started vibrating across the table. I didn't rush to check it. I knew what it would be before I even looked. My mom, of course. The message said, "We need to talk. You're being irrational. You don't throw family out like strangers." I just stared at it. It was so perfectly on brand. No apology, no understanding. Just that classic tone, like she was trying to correct a child who talked back. I ignored it. 10 minutes later my phone buzzed again. Tessa this time. "Nice job last night. You've embarrassed Mom and Dad. The kids don't understand why you acted that way. Mom's been crying all morning." I didn't reply to that one either. I put the phone face down and focused on making lunch. Allie and I made grilled cheese sandwiches, cut into little shapes like we used to when things were good before we moved in with my parents. She laughed when one of the pieces looked like a star. I was holding on to that laugh. But the messages didn't stop. By the end of the afternoon, I had missed calls from both my parents, Tessa, and even her husband, who I think had spoken fewer than 20 words to me in the last year. The voicemails were worse. One from my dad talking about how they sacrificed for me, how I was throwing everything away. Another from my mom saying I'd let anger ruin our family. I stood in the middle of the kitchen holding my phone like it was on fire. They didn't care about the truth. They cared about control. So I sat down and made a list of everything I was still tied to them through. Every monthly bill I'd been covering, every account they still had access to, every string they could tug on if they wanted to pull me back. And one by one I cut them off. I stopped the $80 phone plan that had my mom's line attached to mine. I canceled the car insurance account that I'd been paying into ever since my dad lost his job. I shut off the Hulu account they used every night without ever pitching in. Even the shared grocery discount card my mom insisted we needed, because she hated making her own account, felt so small and so powerful. Ellie watched me from the couch, her knees tucked up, Pepper resting his head on her lap. She didn't ask what I was doing, but I think she already knew. We made dinner together again. Pasta with frozen peas and garlic toast from hot dog buns. She called it fancy poor food, and we both laughed too hard at that. She lit one of those battery-powered candles from the dollar store and said it was for our celebration. Just the three of us. I wish the night ended there. But at 9:17 p.m. Aunt Rita called. She never calls. Text yes. The occasional birthday card. But never a phone call. I picked up, already tense. She sounded nervous. Said she wanted to give me a heads up. Apparently my parents were telling everyone I'd lost it. That I'd snapped. That they were worried about Ellie. My dad told one of my cousins that I'd been yelling at everyone and looked unstable. My mom apparently told someone in her church group that I was possibly drinking again, which was rich considering I hadn't touched a drop in over a year. She even hinted I might be mentally unwell. But that wasn't the worst part. Rita said they were planning to come back. Not just them, with help. Possibly a pastor. Maybe a social worker. Maybe even someone from CPS. I sat on the floor after that call. Just sat there. Not scared. But furious. They were escalating. Trying to paint me as a danger to my own daughter, because I refused to play along anymore. They really thought they could weaponize concern and twist the story. Turn me into the villain so they could sweep in and fix what they broke. They didn't expect me to be stronger without them. And they definitely didn't expect me to be prepared. I stood up, took the trash bag from the kitchen and started going room to room, tossing out anything that had their fingerprints on it. That ugly floral pan my mom handed me last year. The blender Tessa loaned me that I never even used. The lumpy old chair my dad dropped off without asking, saying it was good enough for now. I even took down the picture frame in Ellie's room that my mom gave us when she was born. It said "Family is forever" in fake gold script. I stared at it for a second, then dropped it into the trash like it weighed nothing. And it really didn't. When I was done, I opened the back door and took the trash out like it was any other night. Ellie was already asleep. Pepper too. And I stood there for a long time in the doorway, hand on my stomach. It wasn't just us anymore. I was 3 months pregnant. And no one knew. Not a soul. Not even Ellie. And the father? Long gone. Out of the picture before I even found out. I never told anyone. I never planned to. And I wouldn't now. Because this child, this life, it would be raised in a home without guilt, without manipulation, without lies. They thought I was weak without them. But they don't know me at all. The day after Aunt Rita's warning, I didn't panic. I didn't cry or sit by the window waiting for some kind of confrontation. I woke up before the sun, fed Pepper, made coffee and just stood at the kitchen window watching the parking lot below. An old man was walking his dog in a slow circle around a broken lamppost, and the world was quiet. For once my world was too. I had made my decision. I wasn't looking back. By 9 a.m. I'd made a list. Not the usual kind with groceries and to-do tasks. This one was about severing the last ties. I took a full hour canceling every single thing still connecting me to them. Their bills, their services, every little tap I never got credit for but always covered. The gas card? Cancelled. The joint phone plan I added my mom to years ago when she said she couldn't get approved a loan? Gone. I'd been paying her line ever since. Their car insurance policy still had my name as secondary. That went too. Even the pharmacy rewards account I shared with Tessa so her kids could get cheaper vitamins. Deleted. They didn't realize I'd been propping up parts of their life for years. Quietly. Without complaint. Not because I had extra but because I knew what it was like to feel like you're drowning. And somehow that still wasn't enough. Now they could sink or swim without me. That afternoon, Ellie came into the room with one of her drawings. She's always drawing. Houses, animals, made-up cities with smiling suns. But this one stopped me. It was a little house with a crooked door, a dog in the window, a girl with big curly hair, and a woman standing next to her with a round belly. At the top in bright pink marker she'd written, "Me, Mom, Pepper and Baby." I stared at it. She sat down next to me and said, "I heard you in the bathroom that night." I knew something was going on. She said it so casually like it was the weather. Then added, "It's okay. I think the baby will like it here." I didn't even have words. I just pulled her close. She didn't need a long talk or some big explanation. She already understood more than most adults ever had. That night I changed the locks. It wasn't paranoia, it was preparation. My parents were the type to just show up, to act like nothing happened, to pretend they still had a say in our lives. I wasn't leaving that door open anymore. Literally or metaphorically. We made pancakes for dinner. Ellie flipped one onto the floor and Pepper snatched it up before I could stop him. She laughed so hard she had to sit down. And for a moment I just stood there watching them, trying to lock that moment into my memory. After she went to bed I walked around the apartment. Not tidying. Not cleaning. Just looking. Touching the walls. The window frames. The cheap lamp from the thrift store. The $10 rug that made the place feel more like home. It wasn't much. But it was mine. My phone buzzed once. I ignored it. Then it buzzed again and I saw her name. Mom. Just a text. "We're done trying. You've made your choice. Don't come crawling back when it all falls apart." I stared at it for a long time. Not because it hurt but because it didn't. There was a time when something like that would have shattered me. When I would have begged for peace, apologized even when I'd done nothing wrong, tried to smooth it all over just to survive. But not anymore. I deleted the text. Then I blocked her. For the first time I didn't feel guilty. I felt calm. It was raining lightly outside. I opened the window just a crack and sat with the sound. Ellie was asleep, Pepper curled up at her feet. Me. I sat with one hand on my stomach, the other on the armrest, breathing. This baby, this quiet new life growing inside me, wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a crisis. It was the final proof that I could start again. That love didn't need a crowd. That peace didn't need approval. I wasn't scared. I had a daughter who trusted me. A baby on the way. A dog who was loud and badly behaved and loved us endlessly. And I had a home. A real one. They said I'd come crawling back. They were wrong. Because everything that matters. It's already here. And for the first time in my life. I'm not going anywhere.